Hello and welcome to a Thursday edition of Hornets Daily, your one-stop shop for all things Charlotte Hornets. As always, represented by the good people over at FanArc, and I'm your host, Vance Ballard, but you know by now you can call me VB. I want to thank everybody for joining us out there, watching along with us today. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, leave a like and a comment down in the comments section. As you know, we enjoy watching you guys interact down there, seeing what you think about what's going on the show, and then getting to interact with you a little bit as well as we continue to grow and build this Hornets Daily family here on the program. And speaking of the program, we've got a few things on the docket for today. There's a little bit buzzing around down in the Queen City. As we know, training camp, preseason are right around the corner. We're knocking on the door of those. That means the regular season is not far away either. So it's time to start talking about some things getting closer to real actual basketball being played. We know the Hornets have to improve on a lot of things coming up in this season, but is there one stat or one factor in particular that is going to be the most important? One writer thinks there is, and we'll talk about that today on the show. A lot of buzz has been going on about the new heave rule and what impact it may have on the league as a whole. We'll talk about that in terms of what it's going to do to impact the Hornets as well. There's a theme night controversy going around. I'm sure you guys have all heard about that. I'll touch on that. The Hornets theme night that got the plug pulled on it, so we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then, is Con Knipple a better version of Dalton Knecht? He got an interesting comparison. One writer thinks that Jeff Peterson and company may have gotten their way with the Con Knipple pick anyway, so we'll talk a little bit about that and how those two players compare, and if the Hornets actually did get the better end of the deal with the Dalton Knecht Mark Williams trade not working out. We'll talk about all of those things on the program today, but you know we don't beat around the bush here on Hornets Daily. We like to dive head first right into the program, and that is exactly what we're going to do. Now, as I mentioned, we have talked a lot this summer about the different areas of different aspects of the game, different factors in which the Hornets absolutely need to improve on before things get better in Charlotte going forwards next season and on into the future. The shooting percentage has to get better. Their scoring efficiency has to get better. The defensive end of the floor has to get better. They've got to hold on to the ball and not turn it over as much. There's a lot of different elements, a lot of different aspects in which the Hornets need to improve. But is there one key factor or statistic that stands out more than all of those that is going to be key for the Hornets to improve on in order for them to have the success that they want to have going forward? Matt Alaquiza, our buddy over at Sports Illustrated, he thinks there is, and he believes that pace is that factor, is that stat, is that key aspect in where the Hornets are going to have to improve. Now, in the NBA, of course, pace is measured in possessions per game or per 48 minutes. Last year, the Hornets were pretty bad at that. They came in placing 23rd overall in the NBA in terms of pace, which is not where you want to be if you're trying to move forward and working with a lot of young guys and a young core. You want them to have more possessions, to have the ball, and the chance to score more often than the 23rd rate overall in the league. Now, I very much agree with Alaquiza that this number has to improve by a large margin this season, and I think that Charlotte has done enough in the offseason to help themselves out in that regard and allow them to increase their pace number and their total number of possessions. As we know, they brought in an abundance of guards. They have log jammed up that guard room. The wing depth has increased as well. Guys like Liam McNeely, Con Knipple are going to help the pace. Their ball handlers, they can play on the ball or off of it, so they'll help add some possession, speed things up, and handle the ball as well. Now, another thing that we may not be thinking about when it comes to pace and speeding up the game, that helps a little bit to kind of cancel out some of the defensive issues that the Hornets may face this season. As we know, that end of the floor is up in the air. It's a little bit questionable for Charlotte. We expect them to probably give up a lot of points this year, and if that is going to be the case, speeding up, picking up the pace, adding more possessions throughout the game is going to be essential for them to counteract the amount of points that they're giving up by at least having opportunities to score on their end as well. So we know that LaMelo is going to be healthy. He's going to be essential to handling the ball, picking up the pace, but a veteran like Colin Sexton or Spencer Dinwiddie can also run the floor, can also facilitate things, and kind of help speed the game up a little bit and not play as slowly as the Hornets did last year. Per possession, they can kind of speed up, move a little faster, not take as deep into the shot clock every time. That's not a problem if they do, but if they can find some open shots faster in the shot clock, that will help as well. Again, having more ball handlers on the floor is only going to increase the chances of success and the chances of speeding up the pace. Now, there's also been a lot of talk this week about a new rule that the NBA has implemented, the heave rule. I'm sure everyone out there has at least heard about this rule. If not, we'll get you a little bit more familiar with it. What the rule says is the NBA has told teams that any shot taken within the final 3 seconds of the first 3 quarters and is launched from at least 36 feet away will count as a team shot attempt, but not an individual one. Now, this play also has to start in the backcourt, so it has to start on the other side of half court. If it's thrown in from that end and it's heaved up, it will not count against the player's shooting percentage. Now, I know this sounds like a small change, not a huge deal, but there are a lot of guys in the NBA who hesitate to take those long three-quarter length shots or last-second buzzer beaters from half court. There's a lot of guys that are hesitant to take those shots in those first 3 quarters just because they don't want to mess up their shooting percentage. They don't want to hurt their own numbers. So this does give a little bit more incentive. It gives those guys a chance to take those shots. Maybe it's a fun rule change. I think it's going to be exciting. Could create a few more opportunities for buzzer beaters, for crazy quarter-ending shots, things like that. I'm not exactly sure how much impact on the overall game it's going to have, of course, but it is going to be kind of fun to know that these guys are playing a little more freely in those last 3 to 4 seconds, just trying to chuck something up and make a crazy play happen. We do know we like to watch those kind of half-court shots going in. It is exciting, and it's something that is going to, again, not have a huge benefit, but the Hornets are going to benefit from it. LaMelo Ball is, as we know, not scared to shoot it from anywhere, and so a heave from the other side of the court with 3 seconds to go on the clock is something he's never been scared to take in the first place. Neither has Miles Bridges, to be honest. LaMelo and Miles Bridges are both players on the Hornets team who both have seasons in their career where they have taken 7 heaves, 7 shots that count, that fall under those classifications of a heave, as I was mentioning, from 36 feet away, under 3 seconds on the clock, and a play that started in the backcourt. 7 times Miles Bridges and LaMelo Ball have taken those shots. LaMelo took 7 of them last year. That was one of the higher numbers in the league. Didn't come close to Nikola Jokic, who took 22, but that's beside the point. But it now gives the freedom for the rest of the Hornets to take some of those heave shots as well. Now Brandon Miller, Con Knipple, guys like that can shoot it a little more freely and not worry about impacting their own individual shooting percentage. Again, not sure how much of an impact that's actually going to have on the overall game, but it has been a big topic of conversation. It's a rule that was tried out in the G League. They used it in Summer League this summer out in Las Vegas, and the NBA higher-ups have seen enough positive feedback from the rule that they're going to implement it into the league this year, and it could very well create some pretty cool moments. So that's something that we have to look forward to. Again, it's been a big topic of discussion this week, so we wanted to bring it up here on the show just to get you guys a little more familiar with it. Again, not a massive impact on the game, but could create some fun moments going forwards into this regular season. Now, another interesting topic this week, as I'm sure you all have seen, I'm sure you all have heard, the Hornets have announced their theme nights for for their home games this season to try and add some fun, add some excitement to the games throughout the season. The Hornets have incorporated different themes for each night, and I'm not going to necessarily go over all of them. I wasn't really planning on doing that. They are out there. There's a lot of them, and there's some interesting concepts. But as I was looking over them, one of them in particular really jumped off the screen at me, really caught my attention, and it wasn't apparently wasn't just my attention that it caught. The Hornets originally scheduled what is a sports betting themed night for a home game against the Miami Heat, and they have caught the attention of both the national media and the Miami Heat with that originally planned sports betting theme night. Now, the interesting part about that, why it drew so much attention, why it's causing so much controversy, is of course because the Miami Heat currently have Terry Rozier on the roster. Terry Rozier is also currently being investigated for some interesting, sketchy, unusual gambling activities that were made on him and his statistics before a game last year or a couple years ago. Terry Rozier is being investigated for that, and so while I think it was probably just an attempt at a light troll or a small joke, something funny in regards to Terry being investigated and the Hornets just trying to poke a light jab at one of their former players, I think that's what the attempt was. I think that's where whoever decided this was going with the idea, but it did not really work out as the way they planned. The theme did not last very long after some uproar and dislike. The Hornets have decided after one day of announcing that sports betting theme night that they have pulled the plug on that and it will not take place, at least on that date anyway, is what the release says. So they're not going to do it against the Miami Heat. Again, as I mentioned, I'm sure this was probably just a light troll. I think it's still for the best. Avoid any unnecessary distractions. Don't want anyone to feel like the Hornets are on purposely trying to slight them or talk bad about them by any means. Especially someone like Terry, who's pretty well liked around the Charlotte area and by this fan base. There's really no need to make him feel as if he's being singled out or targeted. Now, that's probably what it was, and it is kind of funny, don't get me wrong. It is a funny theme to have on a night like that with a guy coming in who probably really didn't do anything wrong but is still being investigated. So it's a comical situation, but I understand why it has been just called off and the Hornets aren't going to go through with that theme night on the night the Heat come into town. I just want to be clear, of course, Terry has not been charged with anything, and he is under investigation, but he is not in any trouble. And moving on and canceling this theme again, realistically, will avoid any unnecessary distractions going into the game, leading up to it throughout the regular season, as if it would be something to talk about for the entire season. If the Hornets had decided to go on with it, it would just give other people things to talk about and be more of a distraction than necessary within the organization. So again, an overall smart move. Sports betting night may get a different scheduled date. We'll see about that, but it will not take place the night Terry Rozier, the Miami Heat, and company come into town. Now, as we talked in the intro there, I told you guys we're going to hit a little bit on Concaniple today. I found doing some reading, it seems like some people out there think that the Jeff Peterson and company may have gotten what they wanted despite not being able to bring Dalton Knecht into Charlotte with the Mark Williams trade over last season before he was sent out to Phoenix in the during draft night. Obviously, the Mark Williams trade to the Lakers was called off, and that was supposed to bring Dalton Knecht into Charlotte. Someone we know that Jeff Peterson was pretty high on, somebody he wanted to get in. But did they get their way with Concaniple anyway? Again, it's not necessarily a comparing Con and Dalton Knecht, but Ryan Stano at Sports Illustrated thinks the Hornets may have gotten a better version of Dalton Knecht when they were able to draft Concaniple. And when you break it down, when you think about it and look at it, he may not be that far off in saying that. Obviously, comparing or calling him a better version of Dalton Knecht is not calling Con an NBA All-Star by any means. We know Knecht still has a lot of growth and development to do. He's still very young in the NBA. But Stano could be very correct in saying that Concaniple is already a better version of Dalton Knecht. Now we remember, as I mentioned, the Hornets tried to trade with the Lakers last season, sending Mark Williams out to LA, which would have resulted in Knecht coming to Charlotte, but that trade fell through, and so the Hornets had to seek other outlets for Mark Williams, and they were able to move him to Phoenix in a pick that became Liam McNeely, which is all information that we all know. But I don't necessarily think that Stano is wrong in this comparison. He doesn't think it's a problem that the Hornets weren't able to get Dalton Knecht, and that they will even benefit from having not gotten him, but having Con Knipple instead. I agree. I think it is much better, in my opinion, that Con is already here. Again, I'm not sure if it is a better version of Dalton Knecht necessarily, just because I think their games are so differently that, yes, Con's a better player, but I'm not sure he's a better version of Dalton Knecht, if that makes sense. I do think Con's better than Dalton Knecht, but I don't know that they're comparable in terms of their styles to where one can be a better version of the other. Knecht struggled quite a bit last season in the NBA without the ball in his hands. We know when he was at Tennessee, he was a heavy ball-focused player. He was the guy with the ball in his hands quite a bit on offense, trying to make something happen. But he struggled in Los Angeles last year, getting used to the NBA game without the ball in his hands, and that is somewhere that Con is not going to have an issue. We know he's already arguably better with the ball, without the ball, than he is with the ball in terms of moving and cutting and finding spots to get to. We know that's where he thrives, is moving and getting open and finding different lanes and cuts without the ball in his hands. So Con's already got the advantage in that regard over Dalton Knecht. I also think that Con's quickness, he's obviously not lightning fast by any means, but when compared to Dalton Knecht, he does have an advantage in the quickness category, so I think that gives him a leg up on the defensive end as well. Obviously, we've never seen Con play defense in the NBA. We know that Knecht is okay on that end of the floor. Nothing to really complain about, but nothing to write home about either. I think Con certainly has the chance to outdo Knecht on the defensive end and become a more valuable asset on that end as well. So I think that, and then obviously Knecht's body frame is a little bigger, so he's a little bit better suited maybe to rebound, play inside than Con Knipple is, but that's not what the Hornets drafted Con to do in the first place, so that being a disadvantage there, not a real big deal, and I don't even really know how much better of a rebounder Knecht is going to be than Knipple. He showed signs of crashing the glass a good bit out in Las Vegas. We know that's something he is capable of doing. He did it quite well at Duke last year also, so I'm not even really sure how much of an advantage Knecht has in that category either. So as you hear it being fleshed out and talked about a little bit as we break it down, it is Ryan Stano not very far off in saying that the Hornets are in a better spot having acquired Con Knipple and the Dalton Knecht Mark Williams deal out in LA. That falling through is not the worst case scenario, is not the even really a bad thing at all. It's going to work out better for the Hornets, and I think I agree with Stano when he says all of that. Now, I know we've talked a lot this summer about tempering expectations for Con. It was actually something we brought up on the show the other day, and I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. I'm not saying he's coming in going to be an all-star, going to be any of those things early on, and that's why I think saying he's better than Dalton Knecht is kind of a tempered expectation, to be honest. It's not out here comparing him to a world beater, no offense to Dalton Knecht, but we know where he is right now in the NBA. And so I think that saying Con is already in a better spot, comparing the two, giving Con the advantage, that doesn't feel like over excitement or putting too much expectation on Knipple. It still feels a little bit tempered, and that's where we're going to have to stay. But let's not forget at the same time that this kid is good at basketball. We know kind of his floor. We pretty much know what we're going to get from him, and it's only going to go up from there. So let's not be too down on Con. Of course, he's not going to come in. He's not a generational talent that is supposed to alter the franchise from day one, but he is a very good basketball player, and he's really going to help this team out. And maybe we are going to find out down the line this season that the Knecht trade falling through is a blessing in disguise, and it is going to work out to the Hornets' advantage. I tend to lean in that direction. I think Ryan Stano is correct as well, saying that the Hornets are going to be in a better spot having ended up with Con Knipple as opposed to Dalton Knecht. That's something we're going to have to wait and see as we get closer and closer to training camp, to the preseason, the regular season not far away now, just over a month away from the NBA regular season kicking off, and that is something we'll all have to keep an eye on Is Con Knipple going to be successful right away with the Hornets? All questions we've talked about on the show, all questions we'll finally find out the answers to as time unfolds. That is going to do it for the show today, folks. As always, want to thank you guys so much for joining us, watching along with us out there. Remember, if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. Leave a like and a comment down in the comments section. We'll see you right back here tomorrow for a brand new episode of